In this short lecture, we're going to talk about order of operations and simplifying expressions. This is extremely important because as we are going through and solving problems, we need to make sure that everybody is getting the same answer. Memory tip we use as we're solving equations is we use PEMDAS. P-E-M-D-A-S. Some people help remember this, or sometimes people remember this by remembering the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." And I'm just going to capitalize each first letter. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So I capitalize the first letter in each word because that's what means the most important things to us as we're talking about solving equations. So the first one is parentheses. So if our expression has parentheses in it or any other kind of grouping symbol, we need to do those first. Now the E stands for exponents. Exponents are not something we're going to be really concerned with right now, but these next few are going to be really concerned with. So the M is for multiplication, and the D for division. Now as we're simplifying expressions, we need to make sure that we multiply and we divide left to right simultaneously. So as we're looking through the equation, we're going to look for multiplication and division as we're going through, and similarly with addition and subtraction. Those are the last two. The A in aunt is for addition, and the Sally is for subtraction. And these we also do left to right. So this is the order we're going to tackle all of our operations in. And we're going to read our math expressions just going from left to right, and we're going to simplify each as we go. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit and write down PEMDAS above this. So PEMDAS, and I'm going to just walk you through how I would solve example number 1. So as we're going through the PEMDAS, we look for parentheses first. I'm going to check off parentheses because we don't have any parentheses to deal with here. Now we don't have any exponents either. So now I'm going to look for multiplication and division as I read through left to right. So this expression says 5 plus 3 times 8. This little dot means multiplication. So the first thing here, I've got to multiply. So I'm going to write over here, this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to multiply 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. So now instead of 3 times 8, I'm going to substitute in 24. I've done this multiplication and I don't have any more division. So I'm going to rewrite the expression with 5 plus 24 now. And now I'm going to go through, and the addition and subtraction at the end, those are simultaneously left to right. So I've got 5 plus 24 is the only operation left, so I'm going to have to do the addition. Now I'm going to add 5 and 24, and those are both positive, so I'm going to get larger. That's going to be 29, just adding the 4 and the 5, keeping the 2. So 5 plus 4 is 29. And that's my final answer. So I've gone through, I've addition, there's no subtraction. It's all complete. Now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like you to pause this video and try practice problem 1. Well, welcome back. I hope you had some success with it. Let's check it out and see how you did. So again, I'm going to write PEMDAS up above it, and then I'm going to just run through the problem kind of quickly. So parentheses, we don't have any of those. Exponents, none of those. Multiplication and division, as I'm going left to right, I've got to multiply 2 times 7. As I'm multiplying 2 times 7, that gets me 14. So I'm going to substitute now 3 plus 14. I've got multiplication and division. Now I need to worry about addition and subtraction. I've got to add those two. So now for my addition piece, I have to add 3 and 14, and that gets me 17. So this piece, the whole expression simplifies to 17. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit so that we can see examples 2. Again, we're going to use PEMDAS to tackle this question, so I'm going to write down PEMDAS. It's okay with me if you don't want to write it down, but I'm going to just write it down so I remember to go through and check out each thing as we go. So parentheses. Right away, I have 3 minus 5 in parentheses. So I have parentheses I need to do. Now remember, as you're solving questions, these parentheses could actually be parentheses or it could be any other kind of grouping symbol. So I've got to do 3 minus 5. Now if I have 3 and I take away 5, I'm actually going to owe something. So this one's going to shake out to become a negative 2. So inside my parentheses, the expression 3 minus 5 simplifies to negative 2. So now I've got negative 2 times 5. We can keep that in the parentheses or we can bring it out. It doesn't really matter to me. Just do whatever you feel most comfortable with. Now as I'm going back through, I've got no exponents. Now I need to multiply and divide left to right. Well, the only operation I have left is multiply. I've got to multiply negative 2 times 5. So I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 5. Now I have a negative times a positive, so my final answer is going to be negative, and then 2 times 5 is going to get me 10. So this all simplifies to negative 10. So there's my final answer. I've multiplied, I've got no division, addition, or subtraction, and so we're through with the PEMDAS. Now I'd like it if you would pause this video and try practice 2. Well, all right. Hopefully you did really well. I'm going to write down here PEMDAS above question problem 2. So again, I got to look for parentheses. Right away I have 2 minus 7 in parentheses. So I'm going to simplify inside the parentheses. You don't necessarily have to write this out, but you probably should show some work somewhere. 2 minus 7, I'm going to be negative again. Since 7 is larger than 2, I'm taking 7 away from 2. And I have a negative 5. So inside the parentheses, that simplifies to negative 5. Negative 5 times 4 is now my new expression. I don't have any exponents. Now I have to look for multiplication and division. So right here, the operation is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply negative 5 times 4. I've got a negative times a positive, so that's going to end up being a negative. 5 times 4 gets me 20. So this expression simplifies to negative 20. So we did our multiplication and division. We finished the question. There's no addition or subtraction. Now I'm going to look at example 3. In example 3, same as before, we're looking for PEMDAS. So parentheses, I got to do what's inside the parentheses first. I've got parentheses that say inside the parentheses 5 plus 8. So I'm going to add 5 and 8 together, and that is 13. So now instead of the parentheses, I've got to go put 13 there. I'm going to rewrite the expression, negative 2 times 13 minus 8. I left that inside the parentheses there. That's just going to be for multiplication. So I've got no exponents. Now I need to multiply and divide as I go left to right. So I've got negative 2 times 13 as the first operation as I'm looking left to right. So I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 13. The parentheses there just mean we're multiplying, so I'm going to get rid of them and put the multiplication sign in there. Now if I simplify this, I have a negative times a positive, so it's going to be a negative. 2 times 13 is going to get me a 26. So this is negative 26. Now I'm going to substitute that in, right in my expression. I've got negative 26 now, minus 8. So we've done multiplication, we don't have any division, so now we have to look for addition and subtraction. Well, we don't have any addition, but I do have a subtraction problem. So now I've got to do subtraction. Negative 26 minus 8. Now these are both negative, so I'm going to end up really negative. 26 and 8 gets me 34, so I'm going to end up all the way over at negative 34 when I finish this one. 2 negatives when I'm subtracting just get me further negative. So my final answer there is negative 34. Now I'd like it if you would pause this video and try practice 3 on your own. Well, welcome back. Now I'm going to solve problem practice 3. And we'll see how you did. So again, I've got to use PEMDAS, parentheses. Right away I have a set of parentheses. So I've got to work inside the parentheses first. I've got -2 plus 9. -2 plus 9 inside the parentheses is going to simplify to become a 7. So now -5 times 7 minus 7. So now I've got to look, I've got my parentheses out of the way, I don't have any exponents. I'm going to look for multiplication and division as I go left to right. So right away I have -5 times 7, so I'm going to have to multiply. -5 times 7. -5 times 7, I've got a negative times a positive, so that's going to give me a negative. 5 times 7 is 35. So now I've got -35, subtract 7. So I've got multiplication out of the way, division. Now I look for addition. There's none of that. Subtraction, I've got one subtraction problem to do to finish this off. So I'm going to subtract -35 minus 7. Now these are both negative, so -35 minus 7 is going to give me a bigger negative number. 35 and 7 combined to get us 42. So I'm going to finish here at -42. And that's where my expression simplifies to, -42. I'm going to scroll down from example 4. On example 4, this is a story problem. It's got a little bit of context to it. So I'm going to read through it firstly, and then I'm going to look at what's important, and then I'm going to try to answer the questions. Example 4. A friend of yours keeps coming by every week and asking for $10 of your money. After 5 weeks, how much money have you given your friend? How far in debt to you is your friend? Maybe he is not your friend at this point. Write this as an expression and also show how you would simplify it. If you tell your friend they need to start paying you back, what would change about the expression if you paid back $18? So there's the problem. Now I'm going to grab a highlighter and just look over some important information. There's a couple of things about this that are interesting. Depending on your context or perspective, it could change how you write your expression. I'm going to write my expression saying that if I'm giving away money, I'm losing money. So that's going to be a negative value for me. And if somebody's paying me back money, then I'm going to be adding money to my account. So I'm going to look at it from my perspective. If I were giving money to a friend and then receiving it back. So a friend of yours is coming by every week and asking for $10 of your money. So $10 is important. And that's a weekly thing. So I'm going to highlight the week here also. Now, after 5 weeks, how much money have you given your friend? So after 5 weeks, this is kind of the first question. So I'm going to just write an expression for this right now. So I'm going to say that giving $10 away is a -10 mathematically for me. And I've done that for 5 weeks. So that's actually 5 times -10. So I'm going to put the -10 in parentheses, and I'm going to do 5 times it in front. So that's 5 times -10. So that's an expression for right now. How far, how much money does my friend have? So this is my expression for the first bit. 5 weeks and $10 that I give away every week. So when I look at the overall impact, I've got to multiply these out. Now, how far in debt to you is your friend? Well, if I multiply this out, I've got parentheses. There's nothing to do in there. That's just a number. So no exponents. I've got to multiply 5 times -10. So if I multiply this out, this becomes -50. And so my friend owes me $50. I've given $50 to my friend. So if you tell your friend they need to start paying you back, what would change about the expression if you paid back $18? So again, the highlighter here, he's going to pay back $18. So if I pay back $18, I've got this expression, and I'm going to go with the original expression, and then now I'm going to add this to it. So I've loaned out 5 times I've loaned out $10. Now if he's paying me back money, that's money that's coming into me. So I'm going to add $18. He's giving me $18. So remember, this is depending a little bit on your perspective. Are you the friend giving the money, or are you the person receiving the money? In this case, I'm looking at it. If I'm giving money away, I'm losing money. That's a negative expression. That's why this negative, or this 10 here, is negative. Now my friend starts paying me back money, so he's adding money to me. So I'm adding the $18. Now, if I simplify this expression now, I've got to do my PEMDAS again. And so I'm going to just write PEMDAS up here. I've got my new expression. My parentheses are there just to indicate that I'm losing $10, so I don't need to really worry about that. I don't have any exponents, but I do need to multiply and divide first. So I've got parentheses, exponents. Now if I multiply and divide, the first thing I have to do is 5 times negative 10. So that's negative $50. And then I've got to do the adding. So that was my parentheses. 5 times negative 10 is negative 50. And then I'm going to add the $18. So this simplifies to negative $32. It was more negative at the start, so my friend still owes me money. He hasn't paid back all the money that he owes yet, but he's making an impact there. So there's my expressions, kind of simplified as we come down through the question, and this provides just a little bit of context to it. So now I'm going to scroll down to practice 4, and I'm going to give you a chance to work on that. So here is practice 4. Why don't you pause the video here and try practice 4. Welcome back. I'm going to go work through this problem. Again, I'm going to grab my highlighter and just kind of read through the question, highlight the important information as I go through. So practice 4. Another friend of yours keeps coming by every week and asking you for $8 of your money. So $8 every week. After 7 weeks, how much money have they given you? So you're kind of figuring out, after 7 weeks, how much money have they given you? How far in debt to you is your friend? Maybe he is not your friend at this point. Write this as an expression and also show how you would simplify it. So I'm going to just tackle the first part of this question. So I've got an expression that I need to write out, and I've got the important information highlighted there. So my expression, I'm going to again do this from the perspective, if I'm giving money away, I'm saying I'm losing money, so it's going to be negative $8. Every week they borrow negative $8, or they borrow $8, so for me that's a negative $8. Now I'm going to say negative 8, and I'm going to just ignore the parentheses on this one and say it happens 7 times, negative 8 times 7. Different way we could have handled it. So this is an expression for just how much money has been given away right away. If I simplify this, there's really only one thing to do, and that's to multiply. So negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. Because I have a negative times a positive, that gets me my 56. Doing the 7 times 8 and negative 56. So my friend owes me $56. So I've got my expression there and I simplified it. If you tell your friend they need to start paying you back, I'm going to grab the highlighter and just look at the important information in the second part. What would change about the expression if you paid back $23? So again now, they paid back $23. That's $23 that's coming into me. So I'm going to start with this original expression. I've got the negative 8 times the 7. That's borrowing $8 a week for 7 weeks. Now they paid back, so they've actually added money to my account. They're paying me money. They're giving me money, not taking away more money. So we're adding up 23. So now I want to simplify this expression. I'm going to go for my PEMDAS. I have no parentheses in this one. I don't have any exponents, so I've got those two out of the way. Now I need to multiply and divide as I go left to right through the expression. Well, the first operation is negative 8 times 7, so I'm going to multiply here. Negative 8 times 7. Now I have a negative times a positive, so that's going to be a negative, and 8 times 7 gets me 56. So this is a negative $56. I'm going to substitute that in there, and then I have them paying me back $23. So we're adding the 23. So we've got the multiplication, there's no division. Now I look for addition and subtraction as I go left to right. Now I've got a negative 56 plus 23. So I'm adding now. So I'm going to take care of the addition piece. Negative 56 plus 23. Now they've borrowed $56, so they're still going to owe me money, but they're paying back 23 of it, so this is going to end up being a negative because I'm more negative than positive. The difference is 56, and you take away 23 to find out what that is. 6 take away 3 is 3. 5 take away 2 is 3. So they still owe me $33. Well, this concludes our video on order of operations and simplifying expressions. Thanks for your time.